It is 11 minutes past 8 o'clock now, going to a high of 7 degrees later today on this last day of January. We're so happy to have Miles Nadal here. You wear so many hats. How do you like to be introduced? I was just thinking that I thought you're an entrepreneur, you are the CEO of companies, but you're also an incredible philanthropist in this city.
Well, I was very lucky early on in my life. I was mentored by a bunch of people who said, two great expressions. Andrew Carnegie once said, "He who dies rich dies poor," and Winston Churchill said, "You make a living by what you get. You make a life by what you give." So I've always believed that it's a privilege to make a difference in the lives of others.
Right. Well, people who live down around Bloor Street, Bloor and Spadina, will recognize your name from the JCC, which you helped to bring back to life in that area. And now, most recently last week, it's the Boys and Girls Club of Regent Park. Such an important place. I was reading a little bit about what this does for the kids in that neighborhood, and it serves both very young children and teens as well in slightly different ways to give them a place to be, to feel safe.
Yeah, it was sort of serendipitous how it came about. I mean, the JCC came about because I got subsidized to go to summer camp there 45 years ago, and I said if I was ever in a position to give back, I would, and we started off with a modest project to try and raise $7.2 million, and of course it had mold and all kinds of other challenges, and we ended up raising $20 million and completely redoing it and adding scale to it, and it's been extraordinarily gratifying because it's open 7 days a week. So serendipitously, my wife has been volunteering, my wife Kelly's been volunteering at the Regent Park Public School for 3 years, kept saying to me, "You can't believe how incredible these kids are, you can't believe how much need there is, and how gratifying and rewarding it is." And then, independently, I became partners with Tony Chapman. We acquired an interest in his business, Capital C, and he said, "I'm involved with Boys and Girls Club at Kiwanis at Regent Park, and this is such an incredible place. You've got to get involved. You've got to help in some way." So I said, "Okay, fine, have them come see me," and they came to see me, and they told me their vision for what they wanted to do, and I said I would help, and then they said, that's very nice, and I started off with some modest contribution, and that wasn't going to do a lot. Not that it wasn't a lot, but in respect to their ambitions, they needed to raise $5 million. And so I saw what this, and then I went down there and I saw how incredible the redevelopment of Regent Park is, and they're spending like $1.6 billion redoing this. But it's such these are at-risk youths. These are kids that 3 meals a day is a challenge. Having 2 parents at home is not the norm, and they needed a place. And when I saw the place, it was an old church, and it had mold, and it had mildew, and it had water, and it was boarded up to some degree, and the energy and life of the place still existed, but the physical structure was, to say the least, tired. So they had this plan to completely redo it, to take it from 12,000 square feet to 22,000 square feet, and they were already on their way. What they needed was a lot more capital. And I guess what my wife and I had said is it would be so wonderful to do something that is for kids who really need it, that you will make a transformational difference in their lives by giving them a beautiful home. So it's gone from 12,000 square feet to 22,000 square feet. It is stunning. Rogers gave them a whole media center. Lowe's gave them a brand new industrial kitchen. They have a brand new gymnasium. They have a workout facility. They have a library. They have everything. And what was really incredible was when the opening was on Thursday, these kids, their eyes lit up, their smiles were incredible, and you could see that they had hope that this was going to be a home for them. And I believe that I look at it not as charitable giving, I look at it as an investment in the lives of the future leaders of Toronto.
Because those kids now feel like they're worthwhile. Like someone cares, someone's recognized them, and that makes a huge difference, not just in Regent Park, but across the city, in how those kids will end up interacting with all the other people that they encounter in their lives will change dramatically just because of that. But if people are listening and they think, well, you have loads of money, you can do that, it's easy. It's not just money, it's time.
Well, I would say a couple of things. I have this expression, which is 100 years from now, it's not mine. 100 years from now, it was a guy named Forrest Whitaker. He said, 100 years from now, no one will ever remember the car you drove, the house you lived in, or for that matter, how much money you had in your bank account, but the world may be a different place if you made a difference in the life of a young person. I will tell you that the gratification and satisfaction of doing that. And you, as Seymour Schulich, who is a great philanthropist in Canada, says, you should give time, talent, or treasure. There's no amount that people should look at as too small. So everybody has some time, everybody has some talent, and everybody has some treasure, whether it's $5 or some multitude of that. And I think what I learned early on is it's never too early to start, and there's no contribution that's too small. And I think, you know, what we need to do is get more people at the grassroots level contributing. I mean, I think we have a generous country, but you know, the needs of communities is so great, and the pressures on the government to support these things is greater. So it requires the private sector to make an incremental contribution. What was amazing about Regent Park was the history that existed with so many people that came from there. I mean, Senator Eagleton came to me and said, look, I was there as a kid. You know, the counselor in the area said, I've been here for 33 years. My children have gone there. My grandchildren go there. And I think, you know, there's these local community activities. I mean, when we opened it up and this little boy said thank you and he grabbed my leg, I mean, those things are so rewarding. I knew I was onto something really good because my stepdaughter, Julia, who's 14, goes to Greenwood. She wrote me this note out of nowhere and said, you know, I can't tell you how proud I was to be associated with this, and it's so wonderful that we as a family are involved in helping these kids. You know, it really makes me feel good that we're going to make a difference, especially in the lives of kids that don't have the opportunities that we all have.
How do you teach that awareness? You know, most people, you're busy chasing your career or trying to be successful. How do you teach the beliefs that you have, which is, you know, on the way to success, you should keep in mind that you should give back?
Well, first of all, we in our organization have a complete charitable giving activity. We have MDC Cares Days every 2 months, so we give the entire organization a day off every 2 months, and they can volunteer at any charitable organization. We actually have designated ones that we're very active in, and we help support. We try and do matching programs for interesting things. We did something called Kids in Need of Desks. In Malawi, kids eat, they learn on the floor. And for $48 you could buy a desk. We ended up buying 48,000 desks to help 144,000 kids, and we matched funds with the organization. You know, we do stuff for Operation Smile, and we do things for Harlem RBI. I mean, but I think you need to lead by example. I tweet about it all the time.
And you also surround yourself with like-minded people that give back as well. Is that important for you?
Yeah, I sort of have a value system of the kind of people we hire. So you want people that have the charity, that have the giving gene. Not everybody's born with a giving gene, but you got to nurture that, and you need to encourage people, because I think most people are overwhelmed, because you're right, they say, oh, that guy, it's easy for him. But I work 100 hours a week. I travel 250 days a year. Like, you know, I have my own challenges. But I just find that the more you give, the more you get back in life.
And it's nice to get outside of your own head and your own. It takes you away from all of your worries of the day. In fact, it puts a focus on something else, which is an amazing thing to do. It's 20 minutes past 8 o'clock. We have to take a break. Miles Nadell, thank you so much. And if you'd like more information on the Boys and Girls Club of Regent Park, check out our website, morningshow.ca. Great to see you.
Nice to be here. Thank you very much.
Thanks. We'll be right back.
Thank you.